Hey, welcome back to DuckmanCycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. And this is...
B McQueen.
Why are you telling me? Tell them. You guys, take care of her. Up on her Patreon, hit her up on Instagram. Do that right away. Because she goes nuts sometimes. Anyways, we are here today to replace the main seal on Ruby. Because when we pulled that engine out, we discovered that the entire bell housing was all wet with oil. I touched it, I smelled it, it did not smell like gear oil. You'll know, gear oil has a real assy kind of smell. And motor oil does not. So this is probably that's bad. If it's not bad, and that's not the reason why it's wet on the inside, I don't care. We're going to replace it anyway because the engine's out. Makes sense, right?
Makes sense to me.
This is a brand new German, I think they call it an L-ring, or maybe that's the brand of it. But this is the main seal that goes in behind the flywheel. You're going to see a couple of unique tools used in this video. There's Volkswagen specific. And if you're interested in either the seal or any of these tools, please look down below in my video description. Follow some of my Amazon links. I think I get 50 cents or $1 or something if you make some of these purchases for some of the stuff that you see here. As always, licky, likey, comment, subscribe. Check out B's Instagram. Make sure you check out duckshit.net for the link that'll get you to it. If you don't know how to get there, for some reason people keep asking me, where is it? Duckshit.net. Go there, scroll, look for B, click, follow her. It's that easy. I made it so easy for everybody that I'm still getting asked tech support questions. How do I spell duckshit.net?
Very careful.
I don't know. Call and ask him the number.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I don't do that,
Don't do
but
that.
still. I had to call him today, but that's another story for another time. Anyway, let's get to work on this. Okay, B.
Yes.
Have you ever done this type of work before?
No.
All right. Well, down below there, you see that clutch. This is the ratchet, of course. There's 6 bolts that are running all the way around that clutch pressure plate. You want to remove them one at a time, but only a little bit at a time on each one. So turn them about 1 turn each or so,
Okay.
and then move to the one that's across from it. You know, go in a star pattern across them, and whack them off. Get about 1 turn on them. Run the ratchet around 1 time. That's good. And you did the one across from it. And then pick the one to the left or the right of the other one that you just took. Oh, no, the other one. The one you started with. Now, left or right of that one. Right. And then go directly across from that one. There you go. That's not directly across. That one. Yes. There you go. That's it. Go right back to where you started and just keep running them until they start coming out. The pressure plate has a spring behind it, so it'll come off with a little bit of force. I mean, it's not going to jump off in your face or anything, but...
Wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
Oh, no. They coming out all right?
Mm-hmm.
Looks like you just about got it. Go ahead and just pull them all out now, straight away. Straight away, straight away, straight away. We always want to put them in a safe place so that way you don't get lost. And what we conveniently have right now is the hubcap that came off of Ruby. Make sure you don't lose them washers, too. That's it. Excellent. You might be able to turn it by hand to get it out of there. Oh, it's already gone. There it is. Boom. 3 more. All right. Well, there it is. That's the pressure plate that just fell down. So push that off to your right where it's not going to get in your way, like somewhere. Yeah, perfect. Now that's the clutch plate that you see floating in the middle there. Pull that. Well, pull it out. I'm going to actually remove it and then put it down with the pressure plate. And what do you see behind that there? Does it look like it's crudded up?
No.
Anything oily or greasy? Doesn't look like it, huh?
Yeah.
Actually doesn't look bad at all. It's typical clutch junk, but that's what you always find in there. Don't make dust with that and try not to breathe it, because that's like asbestos kind of stuff. I don't know if it's actually asbestos. I'm sure it's not, but you don't want to inhale it, so just leave it where it's at. Okay, now you have a device that we call a flywheel lock. Well, look at that. It's now a warmed flywheel lock. Pick a position, any one of those bolt holes you see on the top. Oh, whoa, okay, wrong position. Go ahead and get it inserted into the hole and lock it into place. That's it. Bolt that sucker down on there. Yep. Okay, we're done. The engine can go in. What you do have here is you have this tool, which is the torque multiplier. You guys have seen this in my videos before. And this is used to multiply the torque that you put onto this particular bit here. It turns the gear, which rides along the outside of the flywheel, and multiplies the torque by about 10. Roughly 10. So what we're going to do is put that on that nut, make sure that the gear is seated properly on the flywheel, and then using this socket and that ratchet that's on the ground, turn it to the left and get that nut loosened in the middle. Now this is also a good time to check your end play on this engine. What are you doing?
I have no idea.
You have to put the tool on the nut in the middle.
Oh.
That's it. And then loosen it by, you know, lefty-loosey. So, change the socket out on that ratchet.
Stay.
You take it off if you have to. There you go. Take it off, baby. Whoa. You got grease all over your hoagies.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to give you a hot bath later. Get that on there. Perfect. And lefty-loosey. Now watch your knuckles. If you slip off and you punch the side of this has sharp edges on it, it will mess your hands up. So what you generally want to do with this, since you're turning lefty-loosey, is get it over this way and try to lift up on it. Because you have more strength pulling than you do pushing. As I mentioned, this is a good time to check the end play. We're not going to do that on this because I actually did check that about a year ago, and the end play was within specs. I don't think it's going to have changed within that year because I've been really good about changing out the oil. Yeah, you got it. The gear is riding up on the engine case.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. Pull it back just a little bit, right. That was weird that it does that. I don't think I've ever experienced that before in any other engine. At this point, there's a socket we could actually put on it and unscrew it, but for those that don't have an extra large socket set, this is the way I would definitely recommend removing this thing. There you go. Now that nut is called a gland nut. Yeah, I know, that's extremely amusing. I always thought it was funny too. There's a washer on it. Mm-hmm. Is it oily at all?
Well, it's greasy and it's warped.
Well, that's okay. That's a wavy washer. That's what locks it into place. Let's see the gland nut here. Let's see what we got. Yeah, it's a little oily. It's not greasy. This is oily. This is engine oil. Yep. Okay, so we may have been leaking right around this area also, so we're going to have to check. There's a little O-ring that's supposed to go in there also. We're going to make sure the O-ring has been replaced as well as that seal, which is behind that flywheel that we still need to get to. Alright, that flywheel lock needs to come off. And then comes the next part, which is a little bit tricky. We need to get behind this flywheel, and we need to pry it and rock it back and forth. Sometimes these come out real easy. This one's coming out easy. Just rock them back and forth, and boom, it's out. That was really easy. Sometimes they take a lot more effort than that. This is the seal. Look familiar?
Yep.
And inside of here, there's a rubber O-ring, and it's not there. There's my leak. The rubber O-ring is missing from the back side of the flywheel. Now, Wild Bill will really like me for saying this because this is something that people always leave out. Actually, the O-ring is there, but it's flat. It's almost gone. I can't even touch it. It's so buried in there. But this is where my oil leak is occurring. We're going to go ahead and replace this O-ring, and we're going to replace that seal because we're inside of here. So anyway, just got to get in there with a little scraper, pull it out, replace the O-ring. That seal that's in there, I'm going to give you a couple of wood screws and a screwdriver. You just gently screw them in about a quarter of an inch, and then pull it out. Alright, let me go ahead and get some more tools.
Wait.
Okay, I was going to run a wood screw into this, and I was going to have my lovely assistant take care of me with it, but the seal is hard as a rock, and I couldn't get it in there for some reason, so we're going to try to gently pry it out of here. I don't like to do this usually because it puts stress in places that the stress was not intended to be, and you can scratch the sealing surface in here by accident. Almost out. There it is. Okay, how does it look? What does that look like to you?
It's like a crack.
It's a crack. We got a cracked seal. No doubt about it. That was broken. Glad we're replacing it. Looks like it's got a second split starting to form right about here. That was a split. And nope, no splits there. That was just a grease mark for me and the screwdriver. And yes, I did use a Phillips head on that. I didn't use a flathead. I didn't want to use the corner of the flatheads to be scratchy and hit the sealing surface. But yeah, that's definitely busted. Okay, well, we've got a new seal. It's the exact same one. It is a German seal. Try to get the German ones if you can. A lot of the imported ones from elsewhere aren't any good. Okay, what we need to do, you got to get that lined up to put it in. But before you do, you see there's a little oily puddle in the bottom there?
Yep.
Okay, dip your finger in that. Get it nice and wet. Go ahead. And oil up that seal all the way around it. Yes. What was that? Oh, you knocked out my spacers. Let me wipe them down real quick. These are critical that they go in back in, because this is what sets your end play. If they get dirt and stuff on them, it'll mess up your end play. This is the seal driving tool. This is what's going to push that in. Now you want to line this up. Put your fingers around the edges of it, just like that.
Okay.
That way you know it's lined up. And then gently whack it and make sure it goes in straight. Okay? Boop, 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 boop. Nope. Good job. It'll take a little bit of force. I mean, you gotta give it, you know, you treat it like your girlfriend. Give her just a little bit of force.
Oh, all right.
Well, don't make her do anything she doesn't want to, but you know. It's kind of a unorthodox way to hit it. Okay. Is it just about flush?
No, not quite.
A little bit more?
A little more on this side.
Yeah, you want to flush it out so that way it's all the same level as the engine case. Some people like to drive them in further. I've found that that's adequate. If it needs to go in further, the flywheel will actually bump it in a little bit more when you tighten that down. But
just the one side. Damn it. Come on.
Did you get it?
No.
No?
This
You need
side.
help?
Yeah.
I found it's a little easier if I stand over here. That way you're kind of behind it. Yeah, it's a little bit too far in, but it ain't going to kill anybody. Just a little bit in. It's only a couple millimeters.
Okay.
That won't hurt anybody at all. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to grease the inside of that seal a little bit more. Not grease, actually. We're going to be using oil, just engine oil, and then that flywheel's about to go back on.
Don't you need the seal or the O-ring?
Yes, but I didn't get that far yet.
Oh.
All right, be back in a second. All right, we found us a rubber gogi that's supposed to go on in there. There it is. That's what's supposed to go in the middle of the flywheel here. The old one, as you can see, has already been removed. We're going to make sure that that lip that it sits in is nice and clean. Go ahead and get in there and wipe that out real good. Fantastic. Woo! Yeah, try to get any crud out of there that might hang up on the seal or cause it not to seal properly.
Ew.
That's a place where crud just has a tendency to sit because there's really not any oil flow through it. It's just a stagnant spot. Yeah.
It's like pieces of the old
Still some old O-ring in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that the new O-ring, it's fatter. It's got more girth than the other leading brand.
Yeah, there's just chunks coming out.
Yeah, there must have been some old O-ring in there. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's just get it out of there. It's all got to come out. Does it need to be cleaned with any solvent or anything? No. No acetone or anything? You get it all right?
Got it all. Yep, I think I got it all.
You got it all? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now take that oil, dip your finger in there, run it around that seal, get it all nice and sloppy wet. And it wouldn't hurt if you run your finger around the inside of that rim with some of the oil too. Yeah, just get in there a little bit. Be careful, it might be a sharp edge. Okay, go ahead and push that seal down into place. I'm so glad I found that. That's the last one that I own. Oh, that is so lovely. You're doing such a great job. Okay, knock that other O-ring out of the way. Hand me that oil bucket there so we don't spill it out and get it everywhere. And the flywheel goes back on. Now you see those 4 pins that are sticking out of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are called flywheel dowels. And there's 4 holes in there that'll correspond to it. Go ahead and start lifting it up. And we're going to start putting it into place. Now I noticed there was a marking on it. Often it doesn't really matter which way you put them on the dowel as long as it's the same. So start putting it over here. Make sure the dowels are in all the way. I can't see nothing with your head, dear. Start putting it on and just turn it. You'll feel it will lock in, but you want to come up this way. Okay. Did you pinch your finger?
No, I didn't pinch.
Yeah, this is where it was. See these ones that are scratched here?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did earlier. It lines up with the scratch mark that was there. I know, it's goofy, but that's something that I saw.
Okay.
Go ahead. You got it in? Mm-hmm. Wiggle into place. Make sure it's in there. Think it's going to stay? You trust it?
No.
No? Yeah, here you are.
All right, thank you for your nut.
Thread that right into there. Push on it while you turn. There you go. Okay, now you're going to be using that tool once again.
This bad
Yep,
boy?
that's the one.
Okay.
And now you're going to start from the lower left somewhere. Turn the tool around. There you go. Lower left. Lower left. Lower left. Turn it down. Lower left. Come down as far as you can. Make sure you're not going to hit the stud. You're going to hit the stud. Yeah, okay. Where you're at was actually right. I was correcting you and should not have been. Now remember, it likes to ride up the case, so watch out for that. You're going to have to reverse the ratchet as well. Some people like to just drive them on with an impact wrench, but to me that's a no-no. Because you can't control how much torque it gets onto it, and if it wants to cross-thread or something, you're screwed because you won't have the feel for it. Okay, you don't want to over-tighten yet. You're going to have to torque it down with this. This is our lovely torque wrench. Pull that tool off on the side there. Let me look at this and see what it says on it, because I pull it off. Okay. It says on there that 30 pounds of torque is 270 pounds of torque multiplied. So we're a little more than 10. I usually over-torque it just a little bit to about 300. Some of the people will say that's probably a bad thing to do. I'm going to say F you. I'm the duck man, and that's just how we're going to do it. Okay. Get this dialed in right. Am I reading that right? Yes. Okay, so we're going to over-torque this a little bit. We're going to go just over 300 foot-pounds. It's just outside the spec, but you know what? If the nut explodes, we'll buy a new gland nut. Okay, put your socket on there from the other tool. Push the button to release it. There you go. Yep. Yep, and that goes into there, right?
That's where it's happy.
I'll give you a hand if you need it here. I can tell it's starting to get on your nerves.
It's just...
Alright, you remember how that tool works? Lock it in there, it's not locked in. There you go. Remember how that works? Do you remember how that works?
Sort of.
Put that back on there, hold it in place. Okay. And you might have already locked it in. Push down on that, and it's going to click when it's tight enough. Actually, you might have already hit it. Yeah, you're good. Don't keep turning past it. When it clicks, you're supposed to stop. For example, push, click. That's it.
Okay.
If you keep going past that, you'll tighten it way beyond that. And when it comes to smaller little nuts and bolts, stuff like you see on the engine case, you'll either strip them out or you'll break them. Yeah, and then you end up with a real bad predicament. Some of them you have to drill out, tap them. It's just it's a friggin' disaster. But this one here, I usually over tighten a little bit anyway, so we're not going to have a problem here because I like it a little over 300 foot-pounds. That's again a little bit beyond spec. That's just how we're going to do it. So we're actually good right now. We're all set on that one. The next thing needs to go back on is the clutch. Okay, that's right. The clutch plate goes in next. Now make sure that you put that in the correct way. It's oriented a certain way, and there's another tool that comes into play on this one that I forgot to grab for you, but we're going to grab it real quick. Okay. Before we even get to that, there's another thing we need to do too. Inside that gland nut, there's a little hole.
Yep.
See? There's supposed to be grease inside of there. I'll get you the grease that goes in it. Okay. But there's little bearings that are inside of there, and that's where it rides on the input shaft of the transmission. So we're going to take care of the little bit of lube that goes on that too, and I'll get you the tool that lines up that clutch plate.
We don't.
Get that little bit of grease in there like we talked about. Put that in there like that. And then put him in there. Okay, now you got to get your clutch plate onto the end of this. Oh, you know what? Let's do one more thing before we get that far. Your greasy fingerprints are all over the inside of the flywheel. That's going to cause the clutch to slip. You're also handling the clutch disc with your greasy fingers. You're getting grease all on this here. That is going to cause the clutch to slip when we install it. So let me get something to clean that off with. I didn't give you the precaution on that earlier, but that would have been a problem. A little bit of brake parts cleaner here. Excellent for cleaning up the clutch and flywheel. We get up in here. Just give this a swab. Get all them greasy fingerprints out of there. Ew! That's it. Engage and insert. Just like that. Boom. Alright, it's in. Leave it together. Good. Now this is the pressure plate. This has some greasy fingerprints on it also. See them right there. We'll clean this up just the same. And you line it up with those bolt holes that you see. Be careful not to touch the clutch in there. Okay, good. And then those 6 bolts that you had before, get them finger started. Make sure you got a washer.
Nope.
You're doing great. You're doing great. Not much to it. It's a Volkswagen. There is a little bit of spring pressure on there, which I was telling you about earlier. You may have to rock it into position to get the first bolt in.
Oh.
There you go.
There it is.
That's what it was. It's one of those little things that you learn just in time, you know, a little bit of experience, and you get your hands dirty on it, you figure it out. You're doing wonderfully. I have nothing to complain about here. You're doing a great job. And we are glad to have you here on DuckmanCycles and VW Garage. While she's doing this, let's do another commercial for B. McQueen. Yes, that's right. She's got an Instagram and a Patreon and a PayPal donation page. If you want to figure out how to get to her, you got to hit up duckshit.net. My website, you guys. You'll find links to my social media as well as hers. And every way that you can throw her a bone, because we're building her a Karmann Ghia.
Yay!
That's right. So we got a little Karmann Ghia fund going for her. Some people have asked questions about it. You know, why don't I just give the damn thing to her? Well, you know, I can't just give everything away. And it's also going to need some little customizations and little dunks and things that she needs for it to make it happen the way that she wants it. So, you know, why would I have to pay for everything, right? It's today's day and age. Everybody's like equal, right?
Sure.
Is that what it is? You sure? Yeah, it's all about equality until it comes down to paying for things.
I always do that.
Yeah, you've always been really cool, actually. In fact, there's been a few times you wouldn't even let me pay. And just the same, I've stolen a bill from you, too.
Quality, bitch.
That's it.
Both ways.
That's it. The back of your neck looks like Smurfs have been humping it all day.
I know. How do you know they haven't been?
They might have been. The hair is reflecting that. Yes, that should be 13 millimeter. It's in the bucket.
In the bucket.
In the bucket.
Oh, my foot's asleep.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Now it's worse than it was.
Oh.
That's right. We're almost done here. Those things get tweaked back into place. Let me get the torque specs on that for you. As soon as you feel them start to get tight, just stop right there.
That one is.
That one is good. All right, this is set to 15 foot-pounds. That's what we're going to tighten them down to. Now, you remember what to do, right?
When it clicks, you stop.
Once it clicks, stop. Absolutely. Do not go beyond that. 15 foot-pounds isn't very much either. You'll know when you hit it. That's it. Directly across from it. Fantastic. Is that it?
It clicked.
There it is. No, clicked. It clicked.
Click.
Yeah, at 15 foot-pounds, the click is very small. When you're up around 100 foot-pounds, like on the lug nuts, I mean, it's whack! Yeah, it happens sometimes.
That one.
Well, it also happens sometimes when you tuck down the other one. Sometimes the first one that you were starting with will come loose. Now go to the next one, just because, and just check it. Yeah, see, it needed a little bit more. Hit the next one again just a little bit and see if it needs a little bit more. No, you're good. Okay, I trust it now. Fantastic. Well, you can pull that shaft out. Oh, look what you did.
Oh,
It rolled in the dirt. It's got dirt on it now. Oh, you got dirt on my shaft.
spit on it and it'll be fine.
There's a little story behind this tool right here. My dad and I found this at a car show in Lakeland, Florida for $1. And my dad said, hey, it's a clutch alignment tool. And I was like, well, no, it's not. It's an input shaft. He says, but you could use it for one. And I was like, well, that's a great idea. Yeah, if that got torqued into place, that would tell me the flywheel was out of alignment when we tightened the gland nut. It could have been really bad. Because that means it might be tight, but once you pull that off, then it's loose again. Well, you wouldn't be able to feel it that way.
No, it was just needed to be wiggled.
But, guess what?
Chicken butt.
No, it's done.
Woohoo!
It's done.
Yay.
Have you ever replaced a main seal before in your life?
No.
No. Do you think you'd be able to handle it again if you had to do it yourself?
On a Volkswagen, yeah.
Yeah. Well, guess what? You will be doing it on a Volkswagen someday. I can guarantee you that if you keep them long enough. I'm really glad that we discovered that leak. I was wondering why my transmission was always all oily. It always had oil underneath it. And I always thought it was a leak from the backside of the engine near the oil fill. And it turns out that's probably not where it was. So everything underneath there was dripping down and then getting onto the header pipe and causing an oily smoke bomb that I would always smell when I was decelerating. Not when accelerating, but decelerating, I guess because the cloud is catching up with you. But anyway, we're fixed. She's bouncing. That means we're going to wrap up this video.
Sweet.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to licky, like, comment, subscribe, pluck that dingle belly. Check out duckshit.net for all my different social media links, as well as B. McQueen's Instagram. You make sure you follow her. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.